economically counterproductive, especially given the deeply integrated production chains established through our extensive transatlantic trade and investment ties.
President Trump is hitting foreign steel and aluminum with a 25% tax in the hope that they will give local producers relief from intense global competition, allowing them to charge higher prices. I'm Karen Shemas.
At an AI summit in Paris, Vice President J.D. Vance says excessive regulation in the artificial intelligence industry will kill the rapidly growing industry just as it takes off.
The Trump administration will ensure that AI systems developed in America are free from ideological bias and never restrict our citizens' right to free speech.
EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is stressing AI needs the confidence of the people and has to be safe. A top official at the Justice Department ordered federal prosecutors to drop charges against New York Mayor Eric Adams, saying the case was interfering with the mayor's ability to help President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. President Trump will host Jordan's King Abdullah at the White House as he escalates pressure to take in refugees from Gaza as part of a plan to remake the Middle East. Hamas is brushing off President Trump's threat all hell will break out if it does not release the remaining hostages held in Gaza by Saturday. This is AP News. Among President Trump's executive orders is one involving straws.
We're going back to plastic straws. These things don't work.
Reversing a federal push to paper straws, which he really does not like.
On occasion, they break, they explode. If something's hot, they don't last very long, like a matter of minutes, sometimes a matter of seconds. It's a ridiculous situation.
A Biden administration policy aimed to phase out federal purchases of single-use plastics, including straws, from food service operations, events, and packaging by 2027.
And I don't think that plastic's going to affect a shark very much as they're munching their way through the ocean. Okay.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
Fox is projecting record Super Bowl ratings. The network says 126 million were watching over various platforms. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A winter storm watch will go into effect here Wednesday morning. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies and temperatures holding rather steady. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, a slight chance for snow, late cloudy, and temperatures still hold steady. Wednesday, a chance for some snow, 3 to 7 inches possible. Cloudy skies, temperatures holding steady in the upper 20s. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 28.
Are you tired of talking to yourself? We can get you an audience on the radio. You can produce and host your own radio show on one of our 2 stations. Please call 773-792-1121. That's 773-792-1121 and ask for Mark. Limited space available.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that will focus on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Tuesday morning, progressives, and welcome to the February 11th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is our number. Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. You can find us there. You can also email me at richard@wcpt820.com. And by the way, thanks for the emails to those numbers of people that wanted to clip Devin, from the guy that talked about getting hit in the head or in the chest with a can of vegetables. It was hilarious. We'll play it again for you just to make you laugh. In fact, we will. We might just turn to that in a moment. We can ride that way. Do we still have it? Yes, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, cool. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There you can get Choose Views, short version and long version, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez, The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, and of course, Out Chicago and our other shows and interviews. And as we say every morning, check out our heartlandsignal.com digital platform because there's lots of good stuff there. Guys, we love being on the air for you. We really do. And we know that we're going through craziness right now. There's no doubt about it. And we want to continue to provide you with all the good stuff that we can and keep you informed. And the Joan and Patty are very committed to that. So is Edwin and others on the weekend, our folks at Out Chicago, which is why I always give them a shout out each morning because they are equally committed to bringing you the best that we've got and making sure that we keep you informed and try to throw a laugh at you every now and again, and keep you from feeling like you're in that tank. But I will say this morning, my man Devin, just moments ago when we were leading into the show, had a little sermon in terms of talking about the folks that are in the quote unquote cult. And it was kind of hilarious. I won't repeat the wording because you can probably imagine that there was a little bit of profanity thrown in there. But he was making a statement in terms of this. We've used the phrase F around and find out. And we've used it very, broadly, and we've used it in a surgical way. And right now, there are, to Devin's point before we came on the air, so many people that run around, excuse me, guys, professing the Bible and professing their understanding of the Bible, or many times just quoting passages of the Bible, verses of the Bible, to use selectively for the purpose in the moment, and not really understanding the meaning if that's what you follow. To quote Devin, if that's what you follow, but then you misuse it or you use it in a way that is sort of bastardizing the meaning. And that's one of the reasons that we see so many people, I believe, right now kind of flummoxed as to, I can't believe this is happening. We thought we were, and the reason Devin wasn't reading my mind, but he does have a sense of a lot of times where I'm thinking on certain things. That's why I've been cautioning people in many ways, at least I believe I have, when it comes to letting folks off the hook. Because, like I said last week, it was hard for me to make the statement about, now you're about to find out, F around and find out, when it came to the situation in Gaza, because, there's babies that are dying there and grandpas and grandmas that are dying there and have been. And now to find out that this dude wants to essentially displace people and damn near commit acts of genocide. It's hard to say that to the people that are suffering there, but the people who are in the tank during the election with regard to the Middle East, you should have known better. You shouldn't have been so arrogant as to not listen and to then put put your personal interest, candidly, your uber personal interest in front of what was for the greater good. That's kind of what happened when you think about it. Even in the Middle East, people in the United States put their personal interest, their need to prove that their God was better than somebody else's God in front of the greater interest of the people, of the larger groups of people, community. And when Devin said this, I was like, dude's in my brain. Because there's this woman who is supposedly the new sort of White House spiritual advisor to Trump, was caught in an interview. I guess won't say caught, but she just said it openly, that if you go against Donald Trump, you're going against God. The last time I checked, that's idolatry. And Devin and I said it before we came on the show. We're not trying to profess to be ones that know Scripture left and right. We don't. I don't. I'm not going to speak for Devin, but I think he would agree with me that we know what we know, and that's enough to be dangerous. But idolatry is, so for those who, follow the Christian faith, is exactly what this woman said. I think her name is it Nancy White? I know the last name is White, ironically. The White House spiritual advisor's last name is White. But it just speaks to the fact that this group is off the rails. I saw this last night and I thought, I did say, good Lord. She's running around saying that if you say no or disagree with Donald Trump, that you're saying no or disagreeing with God. I thought we were a country that when we talk about our Constitution separating church and state, and then that would then negate the First Amendment about free speech. I can't speak. Paula White. Thank you, sir. I can't speak against something, or else I'm speaking against God because I have been put this person in as the idol. That is textbook idolatry and selfish, and then me first or him first. And that's really what a lot of the people who said, I'm not voting for Trump because I'm, all their reasoning was actually based in what I understand, self-preservation. But it really wasn't self-preservation. It was those people over there we don't like, and they're coming to harm us. How is some big burly farmer going to get harmed by, someone of less necessarily physical stature? Now, I'm not trying to talk about physical violence and all that stuff, but let's just be honest, y'all. And so I saw another clip, interview, actually, that was on CBS, of 4 farmers who all said the same thing, Devin. They all said, it's so funny. I mean, it's this sort of, when I watched their body language and the way in which they responded to the question, and it just told me that they are definitely drawn to the cultism. They were drawn to the madman sort of thinking. And what I mean by this is they're all sitting and they all were sitting in a very prostrated position talking to this interviewer, and they all were referring to him, to Donald Trump, as almost like their master. And it wasn't disturbing. I mean, I don't use words like that because I don't get disturbed often, but it's not appropriate to this situation. But these 3 grown men were sitting there. Basically, their body language and their wording was straight out of, people that had just sort of given up their respect for themselves. And it was like, we voted for him. Each one said that they had voted for Donald Trump. Mr. Trump. Yes, sir, we voted for Mr. Trump. Like, whoa, dude. And then they each were asked, but your farms are all suffering, and this is happening to your business. And one guy said, yeah, I'm at that point now where I voted for him, and I'm at a point where do I still support him, even though I voted for him? Do I still support him and support his policies? And each of them said, one of them said that they're at that point where their families come first before supporting Donald Trump. Because if they lose their businesses, then they could lose their families. And it was sad to see that they were in that state at this point. And these are guys that were just interviewed in the last few days, Devin. These weren't guys interviewed 6 months ago before the election. This has been since the election. And so, there's a part of me that feels for them, because we tried really hard. And that woman in her great pantsuits, both of them, the first one and the second one, Hillary and Kamala, each tried to tell you remember at the debate when she said that he's got a list of retribution, basically. I'm paraphrasing. I don't want to get it completely wrong, but she said he's got a list of things that he wants to go after people for, and I've got a list of things that I want to do to help people. That should have told y'all enough right there, but some people let their pride and selfishness get in the way, along with a little bit of hate that I thought was supposed to be not so much part of your Christian belief system. And now you're sitting there prostrated to this situation and having a debate in your own brain about I can't continue to support him even though I voted for him. I wanted the interviewer, Devin, to ask them, so why, if the election were over, or if you could do it all over again, because actually he did ask the question that way. If the election, if you could do it over again, would you vote for him again? And they all said no. I wanted the interviewer to ask the question, if you could do it all over again, would you vote for Kamala Harris? That would have been a better question. I was waiting for that. They didn't do it. But that would have been a better question. But guys, there's this part of me every day that I just go, wow, America, you really, really did just step on it. When we come back from this first break, I told you guys I'd have a little bit of information about these House races that we need to be on top of. But yeah, Devin was in my brain this morning talking about this sort of spiritual God use and how it's gotten people just some crazy straits right now. So, all right, guys, 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
If you've turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-365-6303. 800-365-6303. 800-365-6303. That's 800-365-6303.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Good morning. You're waking up with Richard Chew.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
We're live and ready to hear from you. Text or call us now at 773-763-9278. Same number. Simple as that. Let's get the conversation going on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views on this Tuesday morning. Weather-wise, it's for those of us that are here in Chicago. It's supposed to get some flurries. I saw some flurries on the way in, Devin. But so if you guys are out and about, getting out and about this morning, whether you're driving or public transportation or walking or whatever, just be careful because even that early dusting can be a little slickery. So just be careful, y'all. Okay, so Florida special elections. These are the ones that are taking place as a result of some empty seats in Florida. This is what we have to be mindful of, and we've got to get behind the candidates. I'm working on some other information to try to get to you before the end of the week. But the districts are Florida's 1st and 6th congressional districts. And this is the reason Florida has scheduled a special elections to fill the U.S. House of Representatives seat in the 1st congressional district vacated by Representative Matt Gaetz, and in the 6th congressional district vacated by Representative Michael Walz. There were special primary elections that were held in January, at the end of January, and the general election will be held April 1st. So, what does that mean for us? It means we got to be working our behinds off to get behind the two candidates, Democratic candidates that are running. I believe one is a school teacher. I'm not exactly sure. I'll have that hopefully for you guys tomorrow. Bless you, Dad. So we're working on that. But just know that those are two vacant seats that we have a shot at. So let's not take it for granted. Let's not sit back and say it's Florida and it will never happen. That's a defeatist attitude, and we cannot have it. Cannot have it, cannot have it, cannot have it. I'm not going to allow that. It's not allowed. And then up in New York, we know that that's the Elise Stefanik seat. So this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to stem the tide, stand in the void, slow this train down, all the things that we can use, phraseologies that we can use. But at the end of the day, it's what we have to do. So I will have some additional information pulled for you guys to talk about that. Yesterday, played a couple of clips that I thought were relevant to where we were when we talk about DEI. And Victor Blackwell from CNN had a great breakdown of that. And today, I want to hit you with a clip that will put a little bit of it may I don't know how it will impact you. We'll just hit you with the clip. But before that, I almost forgot. Good Lord. My goodness, guys. All right, today we do have two guests. DaMareo Cooper and Abe Scarr will be with us in the 7 o'clock and 7:30 hour. DaMareo Cooper's been with us before. He is the co-executive director of Center for Popular Democracy, and he brings the heat. He's a brilliant dude, elbows deep, shoulder, just sleeves rolled up, elbows deep. And Abe Scarr is state director of the Illinois and program director of the PIRG Energy and Utilities program director. So he'll be talking with us as well. So looking forward to having both of those guys with us in the 7 o'clock and 7:30 hour. So stay tuned for that. Okay. So where I was going in terms of some information that you guys might like to hear, I was looking at just funny things that people have said, or in some cases, ironic things that people have said as it relates to words that have come out of Donald Trump's mouth. And one of those things is about bringing South Africans to the United States of America, in case you guys missed that. So there is a, do we have that one available, South African man? No, if it's not. We're good. So there's a clip that I came across in this conversation about Trump saying we're going to, do some partnering, if you will. I'm using my wording because I don't want to get it wrong with regard to South Africa. And we have a clip that speaks a little bit to what a South African man has to say about that subject.
It's a hot day in South Africa, and Donald Trump has just come on air to say that he has seen the terrible things going on in South Africa. I live here, and I haven't really seen the terrible things he speaks about. I'm continually amazed at the disinformation that this man sends. I'm amazed that anyone would believe him. We in South Africa are laughing. We honestly are. But what worries me most is that you Americans seem to believe him. Even statements about your own country, you believe that he's doing the best thing. I feel very sad for you and very down. I hope you can get this man out one way or the other. Goodbye.
So, even from South Africa, we've got folks that are saying, nah, we can't you see it, Americans? And that's the reason I wanted to play that particular clip is it goes back to this whole thing about what didn't people see? Well, it's not that people didn't see it by being just people were willfully blind, willfully ignorant, and highly arrogant. And that's kind of what this gentleman is speaking to. So there you go, guys. It's right out of the gate, just someone that has paid attention from another country that's making a very good observation about what Americans missed, willfully or with high degrees of arrogance. So let's hit you guys with a couple of Choose Views news items this morning. Beginning of the end of pennies, which I'm not happy about, but I like about pennies. A penny is worth 1 cent, but costs more than 3 cents to make. A loss for the U.S. Treasury that President Trump said prompted an order to stop minting the coins. There's been an effort going back decades to take pennies out of circulation. It would save millions per year, but potentially have a slightly inflationary effect. If businesses tend to round up prices to the nearest 5 cents, what's up next? The nickel? It could happen. Big tech's push for child safety. Tech companies, including Alphabet, OpenAI, and Roblox, have formed a coalition focused on providing free, open source resources to enhance child safety on the internet. The initiative, known as Robust Open Online Safety Tools, ROOST, has raised $27 million in funding and provides AI-driven tools to identify and flag potential instances of child abuse online. That's something I can get behind. The effort comes as reports are of expected online child exploitation saw an increase of 12% from 22 to 23. Stellantis' Super Bowl ad bet. So this is interesting. This year's Super Bowl saw kind of slim pickings, and I would agree, for automotive ads, with only 2 car brands, both owned by auto giant Stellantis. According to Stellantis CMO Oliver Francois, the ads were intended to demonstrate the company's commitment to U.S. car buyers as it mounts a comeback after a lackluster year and departure of its CEO. The one that I'm hearing is the one that stood out the most is the one with Harrison Ford, because he spoke to what it's truly like to be an American and definitions behind that. So seemingly it was one of the better commercials. Hyatt is looking to buy Playa Hotels. Why is this important? It's about consolidation. Hyatt Hotels has expanded its footprint in the all-inclusive space by agreeing to buy Playa Hotels and Resorts for about $2.6 billion, including $900 million in debt. Playa operates 24 high-end resorts across Mexico, Jamaica, and the Dominican Republic. Hyatt's move into destinations that include lodging, food, drinks, entertainment, and activities, and the price of a stay comes as groups are more willing to consolidate their efforts and to provide more all-inclusive experiences. And last but not least, Coca-Cola bets big on Fairlife milk. This is one to pay attention to, guys, on the conversation around the cost of groceries. Coca-Cola is investing billions to diversify beyond sugary sodas. As Bloomberg reports, its fastest growing brand is Fairlife milk. Fairlife's ingredients, high in protein, low in sugar, have been a hit with consumers, driving its sales to $1 billion in 2022 from $90 million in 2015. But it's only a small percentage of Coca-Cola's $46 billion in annual sales, leaving the beverage giant with the challenge of convincing investors there's more to come. So there you go, guys. Couple quick items here at Choose Views News, keeping you up to date on some of the things that are happening. Excuse me. We have a lot to pay attention to, and that's why I try to give you guys a little bit of information each morning in the Choose Views news space. And the one thing that stood out to me when I was putting those together regarding the child safety piece with big tech is, I can get behind that. And the reason for it is a lot of the conversations that we have, sometimes we do miss talking about, our children's safety in many ways. And just the conversation and the merging of big tech and creating safer spaces and knowing that we're being mindful of what our children are reading and seeing on the internet and other forms of technology. I think that's terribly important. I shouldn't put those two words together, but incredibly important because of the fact that I think that we've got a generation of children, young folks, and nobody get too much too bent on this one, that have had a tremendous amount of influence from social media. And I think that there should be a stronger call for us to have more safety measures when it comes to particularly what's happening with OpenAI. And I think that the amount of deep fakes that are out there need to be looked. We have to spend more time making sure that tech companies are providing those safety measures. So I think that there's a strong push in that area, and hopefully, that's a push that's going to take. So there you go. A couple Choose Views news items and my observations onto why they are particularly important. We'll take a quick break. So we're down with the bottom of the hour, 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A winter storm watch will go into effect here Wednesday morning. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies and temperatures holding rather steady. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, a slight chance for snow late, cloudy, and temperatures still hold steady. Wednesday, a chance for some snow, 3 to 7 inches possible. Cloudy skies, temperatures holding steady in the upper 20s. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 27.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose You, 773-763-9278. Tomorrow, live local, tomorrow, live local and progressive Joan Esposito will be talking to Illinois State Rep Robin Gable, John Shaw, director of the Paul Simon Public Library, Public Institute of Southern Illinois, University of Carbondale, and of course Heartland Signal's Rich Eberwine with 3 stories you might have missed from our digital newsroom. Live local and progressive weekdays 2 to 5 Central on WCPT AM 820, Heartland Signal website, and tune in. And of course tonight, 5 to 7, Patti Vasquez will be joined by comedian Joe Kilgallen and Wisconsin journalist Dan Schaefer of the Recombulation area and Civic Media. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT, AM 820, and also go to Heartland Signal, tune in, and YouTube and Facebook. Send me your questions in terms of questions you want to ask me. I've gotten a few more. And so we're putting together a little bit of a list, and we'll start to put this little interview segment together. Ask me anything, my background, personal history, my philosophy of life, my fondness, memories, my favorite movies or music, my thoughts about a historical or current event, my most memorable moments hosting Choose Views, whatever you have in your mind. Submit a question. You can text at 773-763-9278 or just email me at richard@wcpt820.com and make your way over to Heartland Signal. If you're listening live, always know that you can watch live stream on WCPT's Facebook or YouTube pages, and of course make sure that you join us that way. Okay, so one of the emails that I received that I thought was informative, and I want to give a shout out to Craig in Ithaca, New York, who said that their group Common Council has reaffirmed their city sanctuary resolution that bars police and city officials from assisting U.S. immigration and customs enforcement agents. And by doing that, it's providing some good news for people in the community that want to see the laws be upheld for the people that are there in the community. So thanks, Craig, for sending that out. I always like to get these bits of information and share them with the people that we have listening to the show throughout the country. So we know that Ithaca is a liberal town, but it's also one that's making sure that the citizens there, not just those who might be immigrants and susceptible to ICE agents, but also those that may not be, ultimately have the safety that they deserve in their community. So kudos to Common Council. You guys can Google Common Council and find out more about the work that they're doing. So thanks, Craig, for sending that to me. All right. Speaking of immigration, there's a clip that I think is I think it's really relevant right now, and the wording is very important. How we say things is important. As you guys know, I try to do my best to say things in the most accurate way, and every now and again there's going to be a cleanup on aisle 7. But I saw this clip that I thought would be, it's very relevant and it's appropriate when we talk about immigration in the nation that we're in, because it speaks to how we should speak about how we see immigration, how we see the nation, and how we actually are built. And so Devin and I put this piece together for you guys that I think would be a good one to hear this morning about a nation and our immigration definition. Let's call it that. And I want to tip my hand. So Devin, we'll hit you with that.
We are not a nation of immigrants. We are a nation with immigrants, with indigenous people, and with enslaved Africans in its origin. What a difference one little word makes. Instead of a nation of, a nation with. I understand that many people who say things like we're a nation of immigrants is trying to say we're all in it together, but not quite realizing how marginalizing that can be to indigenous people. Also to black pain for those for whom their ancestors did not choose to come here voluntarily. By the way, you could apply this this frame to any fault line in our society. America is not a Christian nation. It is a nation with Christians, also with Jews, with Muslims, with Sufis, with traditional Native Americans, atheists and agnostics, all of whom are just as American as anybody else. It is the effort to say that America is any one thing and pick some subset of the society that will be immediately marginalizing.
So there you go. It's a great clip. A nation with immigrants rather than a nation of. And I like how he said at the beginning, we understand that people are trying to make a statement about we're a nation of so many different peoples. With immigrants really struck me, and I think that that's the way in which we should try to retrain ourselves to say or speak to that conversation, a nation with immigrants. And it then is less marginalizing, and I agree with that way of defining it. It's less marginalizing. Doesn't mean that it doesn't stop, the marginalization that can come from people who want to live in their bias, but a nation with immigrants. Pretty profound words. And maybe you can, sort of integrate that into your description of how we look at our country. As progressive liberal Democrats, we have the ability always, I believe, to make a statement about something bigger and broader than other groups are interested in making. And I think that gets into the conversation as I look at it and kind of review my notes on this of our big tent theory. And in many cases, it's a theory. We have a big tent. I mean, maybe it's more than a theory, but it's certainly a practice that we are always refining. Our big tentness. A nation with immigrants rather than a nation of immigrants. Something to think about, guys. And like to hear your thoughts on that. Yesterday, I asked this question, and I wanted to reflect back on my notes when we were talking about, sort of post-Super Bowl things. And I asked this question, and I'd like to hear from more of you. I got some great texts from it, and I got some good emails about it. Sports, politics, social issues. What is it? What do you see? Do you see that there is a greater need for sports to be part of the conversation when it comes to social and political issues? Or do you take the position that Laura Ingraham and others on the right have taken, which is, just shut up and dribble and, let us handle the politics, you handle the entertainment, and a number of other things. And part of why this is popping back into my brain about this as it ties to a nation with immigrants is one of the things that that was sent to me was this question around the halftime show of the Super Bowl and the messaging. Now that it's starting to be, the layers are being pulled back and all the conversation that's out there, which happens with anything, there's always going to be a little bit of a postmortem and a review. A lot of people are saying that it politicized the Super Bowl because of the halftime show. Well, and that entertainers shouldn't be, they should entertain and not be of a political voice. So you guys know where I stand on that. But I'm curious as to what you guys may think about it in terms of sports athletes, entertainers, and those who are outside of the, quote, normal political elected category. What are your thoughts there? Do you think that politicians, that athletes and entertainers and others that are not the elected officials, quote, and that includes business leaders to a great extent, should have more involvement in political, social, and economic conversations on a national level? I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. So give us a call in that space, and also send me a text. All right. So staying on that point, staying in that space about where we are and what I think is important for you guys to be processing is a clip that we have from Governor Pritzker talking about tariffs and their impact on our communities across the board, but particularly here in the state of Illinois. I think this will resonate with folks across the country, and why so many people who have not been paying attention need to pay attention to this messaging, or this type of messaging that's coming from Democratic leaders and Democratic voices. So, Devin, if we could, let's hit them with Governor Pritzker.
So if you didn't hear, the question was about the 25% tariffs that the president has now imposed on steel and aluminum. Just last week, I was visiting a brewery of a startup craft brewer who was telling me that if the aluminum tariff that had been threatened by President Trump was put on, that the cost for him of providing beer in a can would go up substantially, and may make it so that they would have to go out of business. It's already expensive. We've got barley that comes across the border from Canada that would be subject to the Canadian tariffs that Donald Trump wants to put on, and add on to it aluminum tariffs, and you're going to put people out of business. These are enormous tariffs, 25%. And it seems to me that this is a tax on working families. This is what Trump is all about. I want to remind you why he's doing this. It is not because he is looking for trade fairness. It appears likely that this is about paying for the tax cut that he intends to provide to the wealthiest Americans. So the effect on all of us and on the entire country is, and particularly working families, is everything's going to cost more. And it's a tax on everybody, again, to pay for what he's going to introduce shortly, which is a tax cut for wealthy people.
And so that tax cut is going to be justified by saying that the tax cut is going to provide, it's going to give those businesses and those quote unquote unneeded wealthy people additional tax break. The way they're going to position it is, this is going to allow for those companies, and it's a retread of trickle down. It's a retread of trickle down from Reagan's, garbage. And so I applaud Governor Pritzker for just calling it as it is. And that's what I want you guys to be willing to do, is just call it as it is. You don't have to be, how do I want to put this? You don't have to be kind, but you do want to be kind. But you get my point. Just call it as it is. This is designed for one purpose. It's not to, let's just be honest. And I started the show today talking about something that very quickly became kind of near and dear to me, to see these guys that had prostrated themselves talking about, they voted for Trump, but they wouldn't do it. They couldn't stay behind him. They wouldn't do it again. I hated seeing those dudes that way. I don't like to see that in the eyes of anybody, eyes of men who've worked hard on their farms, to suddenly be looking at the situation with gloom and doom. And in fact, one guy even said, Devin, he said, 3 weeks ago I was just excited and ready to go, and now here we are. So I don't like seeing that in anybody. And that crosses all cultural lines, just because that's who I am. At the same time, you got to pay attention to what people are saying. And I want Americans to stop running around leading with arrogance and vitriol and pay attention when folks are trying to tell you something. Doggone it. Leave that arrogance, in the trunk of your car. Leave that bias in the trunk of your car. And I know it's aspirational. I know some folks out there are probably saying, Richard, you lost your doggone mind. But that is what we have to stop doing. We have to start moving in the direction of listening to people who are educated, who are experienced, who have a need and a desire for a greater good, and stop listening to these knuckleheads because of their bias and, frankly, their lack of education or willingness to learn something other than what's in their tiny little box of their what they've learned. So Governor Pritzker's comments about, let's just call it as it is, it's a tax on the American people, not about lowering. It's designed to pay for the taxes, the tax cuts that are going to go to these uber wealthy people. He would be one to speak well of that, given that he's a legitimate billionaire, that it's not needed. So I just want folks to be able to have a sense of, I don't know everything about this. I've said this to you guys so many times. I know a lot about a lot of stuff, but I don't know everything. Pay attention when someone like Governor Pritzker says what this is really about. Let's take a quick break, Dev. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
The Hal Sparks radio program.
Walmart's financial chief, John David Rainey, said tariffs are going to be inflationary. There is no disputing that. Walmart has said these costs are going to be passed on to the consumer. 60 to 70% of the things that are in your local Walmart come from China. It might as well be an Alibaba outlet store. And they're about to find out the hard way.
Hal Sparks, Saturdays from 11 to 1 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
There we go. We're back, guys. All right, Devin, let's go to Steve in Des Plaines. Steve, good morning. Welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning, Richard. This is Steve from Des Plaines. Yes, I wanted to comment on a number of things that you've mentioned. First off, Will Ingham with the stick of the basketball, whatever she said. I mean, and these are people who wait at the altar of Ronald Reagan, a B-grade actor who, come on. It's a spacious argument. It doesn't hold water, and we can knock that one out of the park right off the bat with Ronald Reagan. They're the god of conservatism from their point of view. So let's be done with that one. And you mentioned about education. Now I will tell you, I'm a 71-year-old semi-retired bricklayer, tuck pointer, woofer. I've just gone back to school. I quit 40 years ago. I stopped going. I'm on the fourth decade of my gap year, and I'm at Northeastern studying poli-sci in history, and I'm arming myself with information because this election has ticked me off, and it lit a fire underneath my butt.
Steve, let me ask you this question. No. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just I want to ask you this question. Mm-hmm. What is it that ticked you off? I mean, there might be a few things, but I felt something when you said that. So share with us what it is that ticked you off.
Okay, well, first I'm a veteran, 3 years in the Marine Corps. I was stationed outside D.C. in the 70s. When Nixon got kicked out, I was actually at Quantico, Virginia, the Marine base at Quantico, where the home of the FBI is. And I used to go to the Capitol, and it's a magnificent building. I'm sure you've been there. Yep. I'm assuming you've been there. And it's just regal and majestic. And those clowns did what they did. That's the start. And then, of course, when he gets elected, it's like, come on. It's now listen. By I'm a little older probably than most of the folks here, but I grew up in a neighborhood. Every man on the block was a World War II veteran. We had a dead-end block, okay? We had 12 houses. And I grew up, I remember sitting in the backyard, my dad pointing in the sky, oh, there goes Sputnik. And, of course, we were all freaked out by Sputnik at the time.
Right.
And he talked about Bob Cooper in the corner who jumped into Normandy, and Bill Burnett at the end of the block got cut down by a Japanese machine gun. Now, this is the soil I grew up in. Okay, this is the soil that I grew up in, and then I served. And my dad got his draft notice on his 18th birthday, June 9th, 1944, and 6 months later he was dodging kamikaze planes in the South Pacific. So this is kind of, like I said, the soil that I grew up in, and these clowns, they've taken a giant orange excrement on top of everything that we aspire to in this country. And of course, we've fallen short. Obviously, the great sin of America is slavery, and we've fallen short. But the government also has the tools to stop that, and we're slowly getting there. And these fools are going to set it back. These fools are going to set it back. Anyway, I could go on.
Well, no, man. Listen, I first of all, kudos to you in terms of you hear this all the time about your service, but more importantly, your willingness to say, hold on a second. I'm only 71 years old. I got a lot to learn, and I'm not gone yet. So let me fill my brain and my soul up with as much new knowledge as I possibly can. So kudos to you for that, man. And I just wanted you to be able to articulate what it is that's got you ticked off, because a lot of folks are afraid, whatever, not saying that you are, to just say it. What is it that got you frustrated? Just say it rather than speak to the fear. Speak to the anger so that we can then take that anger and rechannel it to do something to fix this problem.
Yeah. And I real quick, and I know you can get on here. My goal here is I can have my undergraduate degree by the midterms.
Okay.
I was halfway through, and maybe. And I'm getting up there. I'm not so excited about climbing up walls and building cement and shit. I'm getting up there with a little bit. I thought maybe I could be a substitute teacher with an undergraduate degree, and maybe I'll go out and get a certificate in teaching. And it's just an exciting possibilities. And I'm in the fourth quarter now. I'm in the fourth quarter of life, and I'm hoping to get overtime, if you will. And
well, Steve, let me tell you, you're old enough to remember this. Wherever you land when it comes to sports, Magic Johnson coined the phrase "fourth quarter's winning time." So the fourth quarter is a good space to be, my man. It truly is. Yeah. And my brother-in-law, and I'm very familiar with D.C. metropolitan area and Northern Virginia and all that. My brother-in-law was stationed there at Quantico and in Bainbridge about the same time you were there. So I'm fully aware. But listen, man, always appreciate hearing from you and your contribution to the show. And we're going to be your little push to help make sure that you get that degree in and around the midterms. And then you're going to turn that knowledge around to help make somebody else's life great. So that is just cool as hell. So thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that.
All right, Ricky. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
All right, man. Have a great day. Right on, Steve. I mean, listen, that's what it's all about. The fourth quarter is winning time. And, no matter when you decide to do something that's going to improve yourself and improve others around you, it's a good time. So kudos to Steve for that. And listen, guys, a little bit of a tiny pivot, but not a big pivot. So something, that Steve said. He said he's ticked off. I want y'all to remain ticked off. And part of the motivation, reasoning behind, I oftentimes say, stay in the fight, stay connected, and all those references is because we kind of have to stay. You can't. I think the Philadelphia defense was a little ticked off. Would it be fair to say, Devin? Okay, so take a little bit of energy from the Philadelphia Eagles defense. They were a little ticked off. They had something to say. All right, and so be a little ticked off, like Steve said. It's all right. And use that energy to find some other folks that are a little bit ticked off. And if we get enough folks together that are a little bit ticked off, we got a lot of folks that are ticked. We got a lot of folks ticked off, which means we've got a masses of behinds. So we can get something done. We can start with the elections that are going to take place, the special elections in Florida and New York. We can start right there. And to the extent that being ticked off, channeled properly is good for us right now, I think it is. We can't be afraid. I know that there are millions of people throughout the country that may be. And I'm not just leapfrogging over that. I'm paying attention to that as well. At least I'm trying to. And I want us to remain a little ticked off and take a page out of Steve's book and use that as motivation to do something good. In case of Steve, he's getting some education, additional education. He's kind of resetting the clock. And he's also deciding that he's going to turn that into something to benefit other people. That's what the value is of being a little frustrated, a little angry, a little ticked off. Use it to our greater good. And I know that we are capable of doing that. And I know that when we do that, that we are going to improve these circumstances that are in front of us. Hell, who knows what can happen? We could win an election or two down in Florida and have a tie at 217. And, enough people who have regrets of their vote in New York, in that district where Stefanik is from, Maybe there's just enough of other Steves throughout the country, and specifically in those districts, that are ticked off just enough, and they understand the stakes now. They got the message that they will show up and say, "Nah, we're going to change." We know. I paid enough attention in civics class to understand that if we were to get those numbers, that we can slow this train down. And so I promise you guys that I promised yesterday, and I'll do my best to keep my promise to talk about these three elections as much as I can. I won't say I'll talk about it every day, but I'll talk about it as much as I can as a reminder so that we can take that energy, that ticked offedness, to make up a word, and use that to go forward, to help maybe reset this clock with three elections, 3 seats, y'all, 3. Could change the direction that we're headed, could alter it enough. And I'll give you the visual. Maybe knock this train off of its rails just enough to let us come in and repair the problem. I know you guys get the visual there. But when Steve said that about being ticked off, I want more people to use that energy and use that energy so that we can do some things constructive with it. So our opportunity and our responsibility is to talk about these elections and be able to support the people that are going to be running. And that's going to be the next thing I provide you guys in the next day or so, ways to support the folks that are there and maybe potentially have some of them on our show. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got one of our guests will be joining us, DaMareo Cooper, that'll be talking with us about what? Popular democracy. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
Could your birth month predict your health destiny? Dr. Nicholas Tatanetti from Columbia University led a study that analyzed a sample of 1.7 million people.
Actually, over the last few decades, scientists have been identifying some of these connections. For example, one of the most well-studied is a connection between asthma and the month that you're born in. If you're born during a time of year that has high amounts of dust mites, which are hot, muggy times of the year, then you're actually more likely to have asthma later in life. That was a finding that we were able to recapitulate in our analysis. But on top of that, we analyzed over 1,600 different diseases, and we found 55 that showed these types of patterns.
Among his findings, November babies were at the highest risk for developing ADHD, and babies born in March face the highest risk for several types of heart problems. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News. Good morning. I'm Ed Donahue. Pope Francis is warning President Trump's program to forcibly deport people deprives them of their inherent dignity and will end badly. Hamas is brushing off the president's threat.
If all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out.
Hamas says dozens of hostages would only be returned if all parties remain committed to a ceasefire. The Justice Department is ordering federal prosecutors to drop corruption charges against New York Mayor Eric Adams,
arguing in a remarkable departure from long-standing norms that the case was interfering with the Democrats' ability to aid President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. In a memo obtained by the Associated Press, Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove told prosecutors in New York that they were directed to dismiss the bribery charges against Adams immediately. Bove said the order was not based on the strength of evidence in the case, but rather because it had been brought too close to Adams' re-election campaign. Julie Walker, New York.
On the House floor, South Carolina Republican Nancy Mace accused her ex-fiancé and his associates of assaulting her and raping others. In 2023, Mace said she accidentally uncovered some of the most heinous crimes against women imaginable, non-consensual photos and videos of women and underage girls. On one video,
I heard my voice. I zoomed in on the video, and that woman was me.
Among those mentioned, Patrick Bryant, who was her fiance until 2023. She also criticized the South Carolina Attorney General, Alan Wilson, for not taking action. Wilson says Mace's comments are categorically false, and Bryant told the AP he categorically denies the allegations. This is AP News. Elon Musk is leading a group offering $97.4 billion to buy OpenAI.
Escalating a legal dispute with the artificial intelligence company that Musk helped found. Musk and his own AI startup, xAI, and a group of investment firms say they want to buy the ChatGPT maker and revert it to its original charitable mission as a nonprofit research lab. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman quickly rejected the deal on Musk's social media platform X, saying, "No thank you, but we will buy Twitter for $9.7 billion if you want." Musk bought Twitter, now called X, for $44 billion. I'm Haya Panjwani.
In the run-up to Valentine's Day, agriculture specialist at Miami International Airport processed about 940 million stems of cut flowers, according to Customs and Border Protection. Around 90% of the fresh cut flowers sold Valentine's Day come through Miami. I'm Ed Donahue.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A winter storm watch will go into effect here Wednesday morning. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies and temperatures holding rather steady. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, a slight chance for snow, late, cloudy, and temperatures still hold steady. Wednesday, a chance for some snow, 3 to 7 inches possible. Cloudy skies, temperatures holding steady in the upper 20s. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 27.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that will focus on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to Hour 2 of Choose Views here on Tuesday. All right. make your way over to where? heartlandsignal.com, our digital platform. We've got some great stories, articles, and posts there. Controversial Christian nationalist legislation introduced in the North Dakota House. You definitely want to read that article. And, of course, Ohio elections chiefs look to keep gerrymandering that state. So, pay attention there to our folks in Ohio. Also, make your way over to some of the Heartland Signal on X clips that we have there that you guys can pass on to the folks that you care about. One in particular, our own governor, Lieutenant Governor, I should say, Juliana Stratton, on Karina's Law, a new law to prevent people with restraining orders and domestic violence cases from keeping firearms. The Trump administration has made their disdain for victims and survivors of gun violence clear, but our administration is taking different measures. So kudos to our Lieutenant Governor for her stance there. I have to read you guys this quick clip. When I talked about earlier in the show about the politicization of, the sports and whatnot. Love this text that I received. This little middle-aged white woman was thoroughly entertained by the halftime show and loved the brilliant layers of social commentary and active resistance. The NFL, quote, politicized the event by allowing the big fat orange convicted felon 47 profanity to attend. Kendrick Lamar is an artist who uses his art to express himself, which is free speech. Last time I checked. The people who got it. And this particular wonderful middle-aged white woman says, plan on watching it again today. So many wonderful layers. There you go. And I'll just leave it at that. So thanks for sending me that text. And I'll attribute to our good friend Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics Podcast. That's who sent that to me, guys. All right, we've got another great voice that's with us this morning that's been with us before and understands the true importance of democracy. And with us this morning, we have co-executive director DaMareo Cooper from the Center for Popular Democracy. Good morning, DaMareo, and welcome to Choose Views. Uh-oh, did we lose him? No.
I'm here.
I'm here. Okay, all right. It says you're like, wait a minute. He's gone. No.
No, I'm here. Come in here.
How are you
doing? Good morning.
Good morning, man. Good to hear your voice again. How have you been doing?
I've been like everybody else. Well, I mean, of course, I agree about that Super Bowl halftime show. But I've been like everybody else watching this stuff, like the hypocrisy of it all. But we've been busy too,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, you guys have been busy. I think that's a great word, because we have to stay busy. We have to stay active. We can't go dormant, and we can't stay in our silos. Right. We have to connect, because you know this as well as anybody, that the goal of any fascist-esque or adjacent regime is to separate people so that they turn on each other. And that cannot be allowed. And we are the ones that get to stay locked arms to make sure that it doesn't happen. And when we speak truth to power, they get freaked out. And that's what we have to keep doing, which is why your organization and the work that you guys are doing is so incredibly important. Talk a little bit about where you are, what you guys are leaning into when it comes to the Department of Education and your defense of public schools. DaMareo, are you still there? Something's going on. It's kind of you were kind of muffled. I don't know if you're moving around or not. But we couldn't. I couldn't hear what you said initially. What I had led with was a question about the work that you guys are doing when it comes to defending public schools right now and what's going on with the Secretary of Education.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's because I have my headphones in, but can you hear me now? You can hear me now?
Yes.
All right, good to go. Yeah, no, so we've been pushing back against every step. You got Linda McMahon, who is, used to own the WWE. When we talk about unqualified people, is about to get confirmed as as the head of the education department, really here to dismantle it. I keep thinking to myself, like, Linda McMahon's going to power drive public education. I don't know. It's terrible to think of, but it's funny for me. But our coalition, the Alliance for Reclaiming Our Schools, we're part of a coalition of organizers and labor organizations across the country, like the NEA, AFT, SEIU, a couple of unions, a couple of groups who've been fighting for community schools. We've been in this fight for 10 years. We started trying to prevent the privatization of public schools, which is sort of the first step. For folks who know, it's the first step in deconstructing public schools, because when you begin to privatize schools, or you, in the state of Ohio where I am, charter schools, and I think this is true across the country, charter schools are schools that were initially put together to try to figure out how to do better public education, but then they just kind of became cash cows for privatization of schools. And it's interesting because here, if a child leaves the public school system, the money leaves the public school system with the child. And if the child comes back to the public school system, the money does not come back to the public school system, right? Like, so you look at these things that have been happening over a set of years, and now we're at a place where, we believe all children deserve a quality public education, period. I mean, it's protected in our Constitution. When you look at Brown v. Board, being one around equal protection clause, saying that everyone deserves the right to a public school and a public education. It is a core pillar of our democracy. So we feel like this is something for us to stand up and fight for. We know that they plan and want to, defund schools, stop helping kids who have special needs. We're ready to really stand up for public education and really trying to push back and fight, even though we know, these people who paid for our current administration are now getting jobs that they're not qualified for.
Yeah, and that talk about I put a little spin on this the other day about DEI. Talk about, we understand the power of DEI in our country. It's tied to the power of affirmative action. But at the end of the day, the flip on that conversation is that these people that are being put in these positions are just not qualified. And here's the thing that we our confirmation process of a person for an administration is it runs through our elected officials, who in this case are not qualified. So the people who are passing, who are voting for the folks who are not qualified for these administrative roles on a federal level are being voted on or for by people who are not qualified to be in their elected offices. So we've got a bunch of mediocre people voting for another group of mediocre people that want to trash our education system that would give us stronger people. So,
that's right.
You know what I'm saying, man?
Yes, man. Yes. I mean, you think about it. I mean, again, what's important, the current executive and chief, the current president, is running around like they're a king, but we're like, look, you're not a king. You didn't win with this huge mandate. I think every one of your listeners should remember, and I've been saying it every time I talk to anyone, 90 million people didn't vote. They just didn't go out and vote. And some of that is for a bunch of different reasons, but there's no way to say that you're walking around with a mandate when you won by a couple million, and 90 million people didn't even participate. I think our role and our job, and for people who care, your job is to make sure that we get more people to understand the impacts and the real results of this election. I think people think it will be similar to the last time, but it won't. And we need to make sure that more people are involved and paying attention to what's happening in our politics. Right now, they're talking about defunding programs for students with disabilities, right? Like they're talking about getting rid of Title I, which is it helps low-income students and families get access to school and critical programs, right? They're talking about cutting things that support the development of our people, of human beings. I mean, our education system is a core pillar to our democracy, and they're trying to knock it out, and they're using DEI they're talking about DEI, which it stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they're trying to use it like it's a what they say, a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
But the truth, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt kids. And
then it hurts children, but then it hurts our future. And let's just talk about this. You talked about disabilities. Okay. The governor of Texas would not have the ability to navigate the way in which he does were it not for what the ADA requires in public buildings. People don't stop and think about that. I'm nerdy that way. My brain goes down those kinds of paths sometimes. The governor of Texas would not be able to do what he does, which is destructive, and navigate his areas were it not for the laws that are in place in terms of the American Disabilities Act. But yet, these same people hypocritically want to go after the things, to your point, that are going to benefit other folks in our country. It is the essence of hypocrisy. I want to ask you a question, or to describe, or to help us understand a little bit more about the Alliance to Reclaim Our Schools. Talk a little bit about that organization, your involvement, and what it's meaning. What does it mean to our country?
Yeah, I mean, this is a frontline organization. You know what I'm saying? They have been together, actually building trust. When you think about organizing, what it means to organize across organizations, it's a lot of work to pull people together. And for the last 10 years, this group has been fighting to fund public schools, stop defunding public schools. And this is a coalition of parents and children and students and activists and advocacy groups. It's teachers unions and community groups. And they're all committed to fighting, really fighting to protect children in America, knowing that they all deserve good quality public schools, period. Right? And the members of that coalition are the Advancement Project, AFT, Alliance for Education Justice, us at Popular Democracy, Communities for Just Schools, Heal Together, Local Progress, Journey for Justice, National Education Association, the Shop Foundation, SEIU. I mean, there's a group of folks who have been building power together. And recently, we just last Tuesday had an action at the Department of Education, really, and even now we're planning to stand up and push back and fight against, Linda McMahon being appointed to this position when she's openly said that, she wants to get rid. I mean, she's part of the crew to get rid of public education. She lied and said she had a public education background at one point. Yep. I mean, these people are savage. I mean, I don't want to say that word. That's not the right thing. But we need to understand that these are not patriots. These are not people who care about America. They are capitalists, and they're running a grift. And I think our folks got to stand up and pay attention to it. And especially when we think about this key pillar to our democracy and what is important and right and good for all children in America. I mean, one of the key things of our country is that you can come here and get an education.
Yeah.
That if you're here, you're born here, you have the rights to an education. And, we again see this connected to the 14th Amendment. I keep saying this over and over again. Every time you bring me here, I'm going to say something about the 14th Amendment. Because really education and public schools is a part of this battle around, do we have equal protection? When you look at Brown v. Board, it is one of the equal protection clauses inside of the 14th Amendment saying that all children deserve a good education and an equal education. And, they've been attacking this amendment and they're at it again, right? And they're putting their people in to try to dismantle and hurt where we've been, right? We actually have built a lot of people understanding that human beings deserve certain things, just basic human rights. We were moving that way. I still believe the majority of Americans believe that people deserve basic human rights. It's part of the American ethos. It's part of our civil religion. And right now we have a bunch of corporations and billionaires who have decided that they want to make our country into an oligarchy for themselves to exploit. And so,
So there's so many, every time I think about you and the work that you do, my brain just goes, there's so much to talk to you about, which is why we will have you back again. We'll probably just be doing this monthly for a while because people need to hear not only the content of what you're talking about, but also the energy and passion behind it. We had a caller earlier before you came on that said that he realized he was ticked off. And I asked him, I said, Steve, why are you ticked off? And he explained why. And it really got into some of the things that you just talked about. He's a former Marine, 71 years old. And yeah, exactly. And he said something that was really eye-opening. He said, Richard, I'm going back to school because I paused my education years ago, but I feel like now I need to go back. I'm in the fourth quarter of my life, and I want to go back and learn and then be able to teach. And I thought, that's what I'm talking about. He wants to be able to be part of the system that improves the country that we live in. By contrast to some of these, and I'm going to say it because this is one of my favorite words to use, some of these craven knuckleheads that not only, DaMareo, are in these positions, but there's craven knuckleheads that are following them. And so I'm long preamble to ask you this question, man. What do we do to get that 90 million? Or what do you believe are some of the things that we have to do to get some of those 90 million people who did not vote to understand the importance of voting now and forever?
Yeah, no, I think one, if you're a veteran, if you're, thank you for your service if you're listening. And the other thing is, like, don't let these people twist what it means to be a patriot. That's one of the things. And I especially speak to, like, brothers and sisters who are veterans. Just realize, like, these people are not patriots. We are patriots. People who uphold the Constitution are patriots, not people who are trying to tear it down. For the 90 million people, I think we have to do a better job of explaining how $5 became $2 is a shortcut way of saying it. But we have to be able to talk about the economy in ways that people understand. You can't pretend like it's doing great when people are not feeling their lives changing. And then we have to stand up. And if you're listening to this, you have to join a local organization. It's not, one of my elders and mentors told me that, movement, we talk about movement, the movement, and having movement moments like Black Lives Matter or the Women's March or Occupy. These movement moments, they raise issues, but you need to join an organization to see the victory. The people we are up against, they're 100-year corporations, and we have to build institutions that are concerned about regular working people. And that means for us to join your local organizing or a member of Popular Democracy that's in your community. And you can go to our website, populardemocracy.org, and find groups that are close to you that you can join and link up with. But we all have to stand up together in this moment. It is critical. And if we don't, they'll continue. It's like my dad or my uncle used to say, just because you don't hit them hard don't mean they're not going to hit you as hard as they want to.
Exactly.
So
I said, all right, so we were raised similarly by that way of thinking. My dad told me once years ago, and you guys take this for the motivation it means in terms of our fight. I appreciate what DaMareo just said about coming together, joining an organization, being a part of something. It helps to refuel you, because then you know that there are other people who have a similar, not exact, but a similar belief system and that want to see change. And so by joining an organization, and I've been frankly preaching this for a while now, DaMareo, that gives you, that helps with your sustainability. And it's about building, finding a community and helping it grow. And if you can't find one, and there's a bunch out here, so you shouldn't be able to use that as an excuse, by the way. Okay. So, but if you can't find one, start one. But that being said, there are so many that are out here that allow us to take back the ground, the territory that we've ceded by not being willing to do what DaMareo's father and uncle both said, and Richard Chu's father and uncle said, punch hard.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to end the fight. You don't have to start the fight, but know how to end it. And that's where we are. We have to end this carnage by fighting a little bit harder. I want to ask you a question about a couple folks that are names that are really locked in with what you're doing. One of them is Senator Chris Van Hollen, and the other is Randy Weingart. Can you talk a little bit about both of them and their impact in the work that you're doing and in the greater scheme of things that we all have to be part of?
I mean, Senator Van Hollen was at the action. Like, we did an action last Tuesday. We were excited that they joined, and Randy was also there. I mean, these are folks who are champions for the cause of regular, for kids to have education. I mean, this is I think having people who are elected representatives and people who are leading large organizations, unions, standing up, it's important. And we have to stand next to them. They need to stand next to us. We have to show a united front of folks who don't agree with what's going on and call out the hypocrisy, period. And I want to speak back really because it's connected to, this thing is connected to what you just said, is that when folks go and join these organizations and folks who run organizations, when people come to you, start with where you're aligned. Start with where you agree, right? Like, start there. I think a lot of times people come in and they're looking for reasons why, this ain't real or that ain't, or, like, the first thing to do is find out where you're aligned, find out where you agree, and then start from there. There will, of course, be differences because we're human beings, but you can always come back to the core mission of, like, we're the real patriots. We want to protect our Constitution. We believe that all people are created equal. We believe that kids should have education. We believe that people who are not elected and not appointed should not be controlling our government. And we believe that the hypocrisy of saying that someone is can be a refugee in this country, a set of white folks can be refugees in this country, but you're kicking people out and talking about DEI being something destroying this country, and you're saying, look, the hypocrisy is ridiculous. And what we have to do is stand together and find things that unite us. That's why I love the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. There's a thing about music that unites people, and even that the older woman you were talking about, can see the beauty in that art form. And like, we have to remain grounded in our humanity and connected as human beings, and stand up for that right now. That is the charge. Yeah. Well, and I love that, Randy and Senator Van Hollen are willing to be on the front line with teachers and community folks to fight against, this scam, this grift.
Yeah. DaMareo, you're getting much praise from people who are listening and that are texting and all that. So I just want to let you know that folks are definitely in line with what you're saying, and the passion, as I said, the passion and energy that's there. During the halftime, at first my brain wasn't plugged in, and then when I saw how the American flag was being shaped by the performers, I was like, oh, wait a minute, the message, as the phrase goes, the message is in the music, and so. Kudos to Kendrick Lamar for having the guts and the confidence to do what he did. But on a broader scale, to what you just said about work that you're doing and what's happening, as we wrap up, tell us a little bit about what you've got going on in these next few weeks, because we're going to have you back again in March. I'm just telling you right now. So prepare yourself. You're going to be back in March. We're going to talk again, because this is a hugely important, not just issue, but platform that we all have to lean into. But tell us what's happening in the next few weeks in your world.
So, we plan to stay active. Every week we're doing an action in D.C. We are translating those actions to local actions. And every week we're doing something around, this week is education. We have a healthcare one coming. We know the housing one is coming. We know that there's going to be a tax fight and a budget reconciliation bill. We feel like we want to, strategically intervene in all of those things. And we're calling for anyone who can hear this radio show to come and help us. A lot of the EOs, that's just like ideology in a lot of ways, right? Like, they're trying to express to their people, this is what we mean. We really are, Confederates, the lost cause, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, budgets are value statements, right? And when it gets down to brass tacks and where the money goes, this is where we have to stand up for our values and interject in our values. And if you live in an area where you have a senator or a representative or a congressional district where folks barely won, and there's like millions of people who didn't vote, we have to activate those people. They have to call their senators. They can't let these folks run around as if they're not being watched or paid attention to. And remember, listeners, in this country, you can have all the money in the world, but you actually need people to vote for you. And if our people vote and know why they should vote, then we can win back our government. I mean, and it feels like, you know, for us, you know, join one of our actions, join the local group actions, go have a conversation with someone, listen to someone who thinks different from you, and ask them why they feel that way. You know, create some dissonance in folks, and you know, and not just on social media. We need to have conversations with people in person. Like human to human conversation is the only way we get out of this. If we just stay in social media land or digital land, we're not going to get it done. It's going to take people talking to people, inviting each other, and actually letting them feel each other to bring them into the struggle. So yeah, I mean, we'll be out here. We're knocking on doors. You know, it's not elections, but we're still out knocking on doors. We'll be talking to folks. We're having community meetings across the country, and our affiliates are, you know, after the initial shots, our affiliates are pretty much ready to get down to building more power, holding our elected officials accountable, and just not going quietly into the dark.
Yeah, not letting this effort you know, overtake you. And that's why I'm saying it. DaMareo is saying it. His organization is saying it. Get involved and take a stand. So listen, man, it's great to have you with us again. And we'll book it now for next month. We'll get back together in March, and we'll have everybody give you give everybody an update on what you're working on and what they should be looking to work on and become a part of. So DaMareo Cooper, co-executive director, we got to hit this break, man, co-executive director of the Center for Popular Democracy. Thank you again, brother, for being with us. We're here for you, and we will definitely make sure that we have you back in March, okay?
Thank you very much. Look forward to coming back.
All right, talk to you soon. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. As I said, the second hour was going to be very, very busy. But that was DaMareo Cooper, co-executive director of Center for Popular Democracy. Go to their website. Our number here, of course, 773-763-9278. Choose Views will be right back.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. That's 800-708-3091.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. On March 25th, 1911, in Manhattan, a fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory killed 146 workers, who were mostly women. The victims of the fire were unable to leave the burning high-rise building due to the exits being locked and were forced to leap to their deaths from the 8th, 9th, and 10th floors. Locking doors was a common practice to reduce theft and unauthorized breaks at workplaces. As a result of the fire, the New York State Legislature formed the Factory Investigating Commission, whose findings led to 38 new laws regulating labor. Some of the new laws mandated better egress, the installation of better alarm and sprinkler systems, and increased availability of fire extinguishers. Coincidentally, the American Society of Safety Professionals was formed, which now manages, researches, and consults occupational safety and health across 75 countries. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We are working for your rights.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A winter storm watch will go into effect here Wednesday morning. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies and temperatures holding rather steady. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, a slight chance for snow late, cloudy, and temperatures still hold steady. Wednesday, a chance for some snow, 3 to 7 inches possible. Cloudy skies, temperatures holding steady in the upper 20s. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 26.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. I feel like I felt like I rushed DaMareo off the air. I didn't mean to do that, so I apologize, guys. But he's just such a compelling individual, and the work that they do is just so incredibly important. So we're going to have him back. And Popular Democracy, Center for Popular Democracy, just Google that, or you can Google him. His name is DaMareo. That's spelled DaMareo Cooper. Check him out. If you want to get involved with an organization, there's one right there. If education is important to you and democracy in general, there you go. And if energy is important to you, then stay with us for this next segment, because with us we have Abe Scarr, State Director for the Illinois PIRG, Energy and Utilities Program Director. Good morning, Abe, and welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Can you hear us okay?
I can. All
right, good. A little bit of echo in the background on your end, so just make sure you kind of keep that, whatever might be going on, a little bit under control there. Abe, great to be with you this morning, and you know you've got a real, I guess you could say, perspective on how big tech and big data is a challenge for us. And as a director here in Illinois of PIRG, tell us a little bit about the organization. Tell us a little bit about your advocacy and the work that you guys are doing in terms of consumer protection, so that our listeners have a little bit better understanding of who you are, but also the organization that you lead.
Happy to, thanks. So Illinois PIRG, we're part of a nationwide federation of state-based public interest advocacy organizations. We are citizen-funded, so the vast majority of our resources come from regular people making small contributions. We still go out door to door to talk to people about the issues we're working on and get them involved. And we work on a variety of public interest issues. A lot of my work in Illinois is focused on utility accountability. We've been running a big campaign to reform the People's Gas Pipe Replacement Program here in Chicago, working to hold ComEd accountable after the scandal over the last decade. So that's a big focus of our work. We're also working on insurance reform. Illinois is kind of a desert in terms of regulating insurance companies. We let them raise rates without any review. So those are a couple of things we're working on, and of course, we've been really focused on this data center issue and the fact that we're seeing a huge rise in electricity demand from these data centers that's threatening our progress towards clean energy.
You wrote a really interesting report on the, I'm just drawing a blank, I'm sorry. You wrote a report on People's Gas and that the whole need for reform in that space. Talk a little bit about that, because in Illinois particularly, on a grander scale, energy is obviously it's a national issue, but talk about that report, talk about what your coalition has done and is doing to kind of hold their feet to the fire, no pun intended.
Well, People's Gas is the gas utility serving the city of Chicago and only the city of Chicago. It's an old utility, having started in the mid-19th century, and it has a problem that a lot of the pipes that it laid sometimes over 100 years ago are aging, are leak-prone, leaking methane gas, which is a powerful global warming pollutant, into the air, and it needs to do something about these old leak-prone pipes. And it has this pipe replacement program that is supposed to be addressing that. And that was the subject of our report. You know, we've found and analyzed that the program has been mismanaged. It's consistently over budget and behind schedule. It's unaffordable for many Chicago residents because of the pace of spending and the way utilities work. When they spend a lot of money really quickly on their infrastructure, that drives the rates we pay up. And so, roughly 20% of Chicago People's Gas customers are regularly in debt to the utility, which is way higher than any other utility in Illinois. And then the program is failing to achieve its purported goal of reducing the risk from these old pipes. There's been multiple outside studies that have shown that despite spending billions of dollars, the program's not achieving its safety goals. And then finally, we're spending billions of dollars unnecessarily on fossil fuel infrastructure while we are working towards a transition to clean energy. And literally investing and doubling down on fossil fuel infrastructure is just absurd when we're trying to make this transition. So we wrote that report in 2019. We've been running a campaign along with a broad coalition since 2017. And we didn't really get that far until I guess it's 2 years ago now, when a state law that's kind of been protecting the program from accountability expired. They came into utility regulators from a record-breaking rate increase, and those regulators paused the pipe replacement program, and they opened an investigation. And that investigation is actually set to wrap up next week, next Thursday. We're going to get a final order, and we're hopeful that the utility regulators at the Illinois Commerce Commission will reform the program such that it costs less, makes us safer, and actually facilitates the transition to clean energy.
Wow, it's amazing that the work that you did there, very intensive. So we'll have to have you back, Abe, in a few weeks after this takes place, and have you kind of report into us on the meaning, what's happening, and all the rest. Because I think it's important that folks are aware of this. So another question that's been on my mind, and this is something that's been on my mind for a while, and it's an area that I've tried to do some research and learn, but you've really been in your studies working on big data centers and how that has its, for lack of better words, downside on our energy grid. And just, if you can, talk a little bit about that. I think a lot of people have sort of touched it, but they don't know enough about it and are genuinely curious. Yeah.
So for many years, electricity use in the United States has been flat or declining, and that's a good thing. When we use less energy, that means we're using less polluting sources. We're still reliant, unfortunately, on coal-burning power plants and gas-burning power plants, which put out climate pollution and health-harming pollution. And so using less energy is good for all of us, and we can achieve the same outcomes and have the same prosperous lives while using less energy. That's a good thing. But that trend is really taken a rapid turn in recent years with the proliferation of data centers. And these are just big warehouses full of computers, basically. And they're computers doing an incredible amount of computing power, which makes them very hot. And they take a lot of electricity, not only to run the computers, but to cool them down. And that's causing a big spike in electricity use all around the country, which means we are delaying the retirement of coal plants. Energy producers are rushing to build more gas plants rather than, unfortunately, renewable energy to power these plants. And it's all a little questionable whether we actually need all these data centers. I don't want to paint too broad a brush because we do need them. If you get on a Zoom call or you store your photos in the cloud, that's being probably stored somewhere in a data center. So to a certain extent, many of the things we take for granted are powered there. But the biggest increase or the projected increase is from these large language model generative AI, like the ChatGPTs of the world. And they're just claiming that they need ever more computing power and spending hundreds of billions of dollars to train their models. And, as we saw with the new DeepSeek AI out of China, it's really a big question whether that thesis is accurate. We've seen now that you can do this type of AI without so much computing power. And it's unclear that, this is the type of AI we're going to need. Again, AI is a really promising technology. It can do powerful things, but these large language models are just one type of them, and it's questionable how useful they're going to be going forward. So what we wanted to do with the report is really document the proliferation of data centers and the incredible energy use from them and the harms from that, and then just question and just make sure we're pausing and not reacting, as often happens, to say, okay, well, I guess these guys want more power, we got to build more power, but actually just think for a second, do we actually need this? Is this in the public interest? And that's what we're trying to prompt with our report.
So, Abe, go back if you can. You talked about sort of the reactionary way of, we talk about people's gas, if you will, reactionary versus planning. Short-term, medium range, and long-term. It seems as though, but and if I'm going to kind of link this to crypto and data centers, it's like it's not planning. It seems like it's more reactionary, and with reactionary comes accidents. And where am I going with this? Have there been accidents? Have there been ones that we don't know about with all this energy being used and consumed, where we've got this high amount of heat and a high amount of cooling? Have there been things that have happened that because of reactionary rather than planning that we're seeing or you're seeing? I mean, that's a big question, but I know that you got an answer for it.
Yeah, I haven't seen like a accident, like an incident where there's a bunch of unnecessary water use or something like that. It's more on a massive scale. We're just kind of blindly walking into this future where we're allowing these big tech companies and these crypto companies to demand that they get, upwards of 25% of the electricity on our grid. And that because of that, we lose the benefits of shutting down a coal plant, which, every coal plant, you can calculate the number of deaths per year that come from the air pollution from that. And so we are harming our health, harming the climate for these really questionable benefits. And we don't have to respond to the energy demands from these companies by just saying, yes, we can question and we can write policies on our states and national level to say, yeah, we want to see some of this growth, but we're going to limit it as well until there's more proven benefits from this technology. And that's the type of steps we can take to ensure that we don't are not just harmed by this massive new energy use.
How do you, or how have you been navigating the pushback that might sound like, well, come on, Abe, and others like you, come on, you're stopping us from growing and moving our civilization forward, and you're getting in the way of progress. So, talk about that if you can.
Absolutely, we definitely see value in technology and see value in the potential for artificial intelligence. But we're not the only ones questioning the value of these generative AI models. Big banks on Wall Street also, there are people in Wall Street who also think this is a bubble, that this is a hype cycle that we see time and again from Silicon Valley and from Wall Street, where a new technology gets hyped up and overvalued, and there is overinvestment. And so we have no qualms with the technology. We have qualms with the hype cycle and the overhyping of technology, and the fact that there are these speculative benefits, but there are real harms that we're suffering right now. And we want to address those real harms. And we don't want to limit real innovation, real technological progress, and I don't think anything that we're calling for would do that.
Okay, got it. So you said earlier in the segment, and this is something we want to circle back to and most definitely have you back again. This is about something that's important to all of us. I each day I have a little bit of commentary on AI and on technology to the extent that I, don't get in front of my skis. But and having you back in the future, we definitely want to talk more in this space because it is a big problem and it is a big concern, certainly, and locally here in Chicago, the state of Illinois, and throughout the rest of the country. You mentioned, though, that you are funded by regular everyday contributions and folks that see this being important. So how can people get involved? One, how can folks contribute? How can they be a part of your organization in whatever way that that they can?
Well, I'd encourage folks to go to our website, IllinoisPIRG.org. That's Illinois, all spelled out, PIRG.org. And there, if you're ready to make a contribution, that's wonderful. Or if you want to get on our mailing list, you can sign up directly or take action. We'll have multiple opportunities to write your legislators on the state or federal level about one of our issues. There you can take immediate action, and by doing so, you get on our list and stay updated and can take more actions in the future.
That's great. Okay, I wanted to make sure we got that covered because I know there are people who do have this concern locally and throughout the rest of the country that can get involved. So, Abe, will you join us again in a few weeks after this this most recent legislation decision is made, and we can talk about that?
I'd love that.
Fantastic. Abe, thanks for being with us this morning. I know you got a big task in front of you, but we're here to do our part to help out as best we can. So thanks for taking the time this morning.
My pleasure. I enjoyed the conversation.
All right. Take care. Be safe.
You too. Bye.
Bye now. All right, guys. State Director, Illinois PIRG, P-I-R-G, Abe Scarr. That's Abe, A-B-E, S-C-A-R-R. Google his name. Google the organization. Find out how you can get involved because, again, like DaMareo Cooper said, in terms of getting involved in organizations that feel right for you. Those are not his exact words, but if there's an issue that you're concerned about, specific to you, then that's probably the easiest way to find out how to get involved or find out what's your litmus test in terms of the organizations that you want to be a part of and help out. And I think both of these groups, Center for Popular Democracy and the Illinois PIRG, are two organizations that you can get involved with and help them out, both with your money, with your time, and all the rest. And I just think that the more one of my goals, as I've said before, is to make sure that you guys have outlets to turn to so that you are not sitting in a silo going, what the hell can I do? That's a promise that I've made, and our team here is literally leaning into that. So thanks to Abe and thanks to DaMareo. Black History Month, guys. And I've got a clip that I want to play for you that Devin and I put together that speaks to a conversation from the pulpit.
Something extraordinary about you. You must be pretty special if an entire movement of MAGA people had to create a Project 2025 to erase your contributions, remove your genius, marginalize your brilliance, disenfranchise your power, restrict your participation, and miseducate the nation's children. Maybe you don't know how powerful you are, black people. Billionaires funded, lawyers plotted, think tanks studied, politicians gathered, insurrectionists on January 6th planned, entire news networks broadcast, and a so-called president gave executive orders, all centered on quieting the power of a people who will not be silent. To quote the comedic prophet by the name of Cat Williams, you don't spend this much time and money trying to convince people you don't like they are nothing. You don't like someone, you don't think about them. But if you have to pass laws, broadcast news stories, and blame all the problems in the nation on the people who built the nation, claiming they are the problem, something is not right. There is something special about you. The world wants our rhythm, but not our blues.
Okay, so in my way of recognizing Black History Month, which is American history, as is all of our communities' histories, I'm trying to play clips that I think are relevant. And so this particular, there is something special in you. I'll send it to you guys if you'd like it. And this is where I am. This is who I am as a dude that gets to rap with you on weekday mornings from 6 to 8 a.m. What he said was specific to African Americans in the United States of America, and if not across the globe. As I see it, in addition to that, that speaks to all of us in our fight right now. And it's not by accident that we had two great people on, two great guests talking about something that's important to all of us. They wouldn't be putting that much attention toward tearing down education, toward affecting our environment, to Abe's piece, toward taking away support mechanisms that have allowed people to ascend in this society. If you weren't a threat to them, there is something special about all of us. And to what that minister had to say specifically about black folks. Granted, I broaden that to say about all of us. And that's the message I want you guys to take. My man Steve, there's something special about looking in the mirror and saying, I'm going to go back to school and get some additional education and be able to turn that around and put it back out into society to benefit others. There's something special about that. There's something special about all of us. And I'll be doggone if I'm going to let these craven knuckleheads take away our specialness, all of our communities. And that's why I preach, no disrespect, about us staying connected in this fight. We're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna keep bringing you this information. I promise you that. And you know the reason for it is to exactly what the minister said there. There is something special. They wouldn't spend all this time and energy and resources to tear down what we've built up as a society. So just wanted you guys to hear that one and know that I got you. When I say I got you, I want to provide you with things that you can then turn around and share with other people. So if you'd like the clip, as I've said before, just send me an email at richard@WCPT820. I will send it to you, and then you can pass it on and share it with other people that need to hear it, of all communities. Now, one other quick clip before we wrap up that Devin and I put together that hopefully will put a little tickle in you, a little bit of sarcasm. But I thought you guys might like to hear the Jay Salman. Is that one available? All right, Devin's going to hit you with that.
Another weird week of watching a man say America first while proposing to use our tax dollars to help him get a hotel in the Middle East, and proving that two hard rights can make a wrong. He wants to be a king. His buddy Elon's going after your grandma's social security number like a Nigerian prince, and still these two trust fund kids have no real plan to actually bring down prices. That said, as a Dallas Mavericks fan, this week for me was about people in power trying to convince me that they got the best of what were clearly bad trade moves. Full disclosure, I do miss Luka Doncic. But this is about the president, who, in a checkers-level chess move, threatened Canada and Mexico with tariffs and then claimed victory after they agreed to border protections they already had in place. We told Mexico we'd stop arming the cartels with our guns, which is a real thing that we actually do. And Canada is probably using a lot of that border protection to keep us from fleeing there, because that's who we are now. We're swapping scientists for loyalists, treasury experts for underage hackers, and if you're into symbolism, we replaced the bust of Rosa Parks in the Oval Office with a Diet Coke button. We traded an unelected bloated bureaucracy trying to help end world hunger for an unelected bloated billionaire who really wants to escape to Mars. Look, these are small, insecure men, so keep making them uncomfortable. And remember, they say the meek will inherit the earth, but we still have to keep the douchebags from ruining it before they run off to their backup planet.
All right, guys, there's the message. Make sure we stay in the fight. I appreciate what Jay had to say there, and I appreciate what Reverend Moss had to say. Guys, stay in the fight. Looking forward to being with you again tomorrow, but as I always say, take a deep breath and make your life count. We will see you tomorrow.
Every 40 seconds, a child is reported missing. That's 2,000 children every single day. It's a heart-wrenching reality that we can no longer ignore. Find the Children is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping find missing kids. You can be a part of their mission by donating your unwanted vehicle, running or not. Call 1-800-775-5622. We guarantee that you will receive the maximum tax deduction. We provide fast, free pickup with 24-hour response. Call 1-800-775-5622. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help find missing children and educational materials to teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs have a proven track record of reuniting kids with their families. It's